Both my coffees are cold. I usually start out with 2 coffee cups in the morning, and by the time, if I'm pokey about my content creation, I have cold coffee. I don't know about you, but I don't like cold coffee. I should have heated it up before I started talking. But today is day 351 of What's She Up To Now. As I transition from the brick and mortar corporate world to the online world, I'm sharing my journey. I'm just kind of documenting my journey, chatting for a couple of minutes every day about kind of what happened yesterday, what's working, what's not working, what's great, what sucks, what I want to change and do better. You know, some of it goes across the gamut, technological things that I run across, to process things, to systems things, to just what I'm thinking from a mindset standpoint as I am growing and building my online business. Well, today I'm thinking about clutter and chaos and what the connection is between those two things. I have always been a pack rat. Ever since I was a little girl, my family tells the story of me walking around with a Band-Aid box shoved in my jeans pocket or my pedal pusher pocket, filled to the brim with little treasures. Back, remember, and I think they still have them sometimes, but they had the metal Band-Aid boxes with the flip top. I would carry one of those around in my pocket, full of little things that I would find as I went about my day and about my life, and things that were important to me. And if you were to go in my purse, you would still find that I carry with me little treasures and little trinkets and little things that I collect throughout my life that are important to me, important reminders of things. Not that that has anything to do with anything, but today as I'm working on moving, and you're going to probably hear me talk about this for the next month or so, it's that big a project. I'm understanding, and I've known my whole life that I'm a pack rat and a saver, and I want to change that. I need to change that because God, I'm almost 60 years old. I'm 58 years old. I'll be 59 this year. And I'm physically moving out of my house since my divorce. And do I really want to take any of this stuff with me? If I had my druthers, I would just step out. I would pull the things that I really care about the most out, and I would just leave it all behind. But that's not the way life works. We don't get to just leave our messes behind. Some people do, but for the most part, we don't get to do that. So I need to go through, that's my strategy. I am pulling out the 10 to 20%. Now I want it to be 10%, but if I sneak to 20%, I'm not going to be mad at myself. Because if I can get rid of 80% of what's going on and what I've had in my past, in my life, I think that's a good enough division at this juncture in my life. So 80% of the physical things that I own are being donated to charity or given away to people that I know that want them and they can use them. 80% of it. And the rest is going, about 10% is going into storage, and then 10% will stay with me. And the 10% that's in storage will be dealt with by, I'm setting a date and calling my shot right now, by August 27th of next year, anything in storage will have been dealt with. So that 10% will have either been incorporated into my life again, or again, donated and given to charity, because I will have realized, I should have taken a better and more time sorting it and sifting it and putting it in storage, or it shouldn't have gone in storage at all. It should have just gone to charity. And I'm trying to minimize the amount of that happens. But the more rushed I am by other people, the less likely that is, and the percentage goes up because I don't have the time to sort through it. So today my goal and my objective is to get through my entire office. And I'm picking my office because that is the hardest room in my house for me to do this with. It's the hardest because it's the thing that it's actually the stuff I love the most. I love working. I love creating things. I love writing. I love reading. So it's where my books are. It's where my writing is. It's where my computers are. It's where my clutter, most of my clutter is. It's where things are from my previous businesses and my previous experiences in life that I think I need to keep. But, you know, I moved all of my corporate stuff from my old house to an apartment, well, not to my apartment, from my old house to this house. And I'm like, why am I keeping that stuff? I haven't worked in corporate America since 2003, 2004. So why am I keeping that stuff? What is the probability I'm going to do anything with that information? Could I? Absolutely. But it's 15, 20 years later. If I was going to do something with it, wouldn't I have done something with it by now? Out of here. That stuff can all go. Same with books and resources and things that I love. You know, I've read some of them I haven't, but I'm separating them out by topic and just giving them away. I've got a whole slew of books on outsourcing. I've got a whole slew of books on, I've got lots of cookbooks, hundreds and hundreds of cookbooks, because I was in the food industry and I had a food manufacturing business. So I have hundreds of Italian food recipe books, cooking books, and I love to cook. So I have lots of those things. Well, I'm not going back into the Italian food business. Sorry, people, probably not going to. I might make sure that that business continues in another way, shape, or form because people continually ask me about it, but I personally will not be doing it. So do I need a bunch of Italian food cookbooks? No. Do I like them? Yeah. I have not used a recipe in 20 years. I am not a recipe cooker. I don't cook using a recipe, except in manufacturing. We had a formula card and we used that because it had to be consistent. But when I personally cook, I don't use recipes. I love reading cookbooks, and that's how I know what to put in things, is I've read probably thousands of cookbooks in my life and recipes. I've read probably millions of recipes. It's been a long time reading them. I've read recipes since I was a little girl, because I started out, my love of cooking was by making cookies. I would make cookies and things like that after school every night. And it was just fun for me. I liked doing it. I liked doing it for my family and my sisters. And that's where I learned to cook and to read recipes and things like that. So back when I was like a young teenager, I started reading cookbooks. And so after you've read and you incorporate enough of that knowledge into you, you just don't need to read it anymore. So do I need to keep those books? No. Now, my strategy for how to handle all of this is to ask myself the question, when I pick something up, I ask myself, does this make me feel lighter? Does this make me feel good? If the answer is a resounding yes, it goes in my keep pile. It goes in, and this reminds me of my dad. So this is something I will keep forever, because we used to call my dad the Pillsbury Doughboy, and we'd call him Poppin' Fresh, and we'd pop his tummy when we were little girls. And so Pillsbury Doughboy always reminds me of my dad. So he sits by me while I'm doing my videos and makes me feel like I'm not just me, that I've got a little bit of him with me. And I depending on what you believe about people and when they pass away, I think that their spirit is always with us. Anyway, weird woo-woo thought. But my question for me is, does it make me feel lighter? Does it make me feel good? Okay, and I like this. I'm going to say, this little statue is another example. Okay, it's cute. It says, plant your dream. I like things that say plant your dream. I've got another thing that says, dream big, here in my office, dream big. Now, when I pick these up, I'm like, I like them, but I get a pretty neutral feeling about them. So will I keep them? Maybe yes, maybe no, probably not. So if I touch something and it's a yes, it goes in my keep stuff. It goes in, yep, this is going with me, I'm keeping it. Dream big, plant your dream. I like these, but are these replaceable? Yes, these are totally something that I could replace and do again, should I choose to want to keep them with me. Maybe what I'll do is I'll find all of my dream type stuff and I'll put it in a pile together and I'll give it to somebody, or I'll stage something with it that's all around dreams or thinking, positive motivational things like that. Or maybe I'll have a room in my new place that I display those kinds of things. I don't know. But as long as they're neutral, I don't have a problem giving them to charity and letting somebody else benefit from them, so that somebody else that picks them up says, oh my God, I love that. I love that flower that says plant your dream. I love that. That's perfect for this place in my house or my garden or my life. But for me, it's just a neutral, so it can go. And that's the strategy I'm using to declutter and actually really, really downsize and move on with my life. Because I got to thinking, if I can accomplish and get as much done as I get done now with all of this chaos and surrounded by all this clutter and all of this stuff that hasn't been dealt with for decades, because it's not just my stuff. It's my stuff, the ex's stuff, the kids' stuff, my son-in-law's stuff, my daughter's stuff, my son's stuff, my granddaughter's stuff. It's a lot of stuff. And then it's all the stuff that I've collected and saved. Being a pack rat saver, I mean, I am sure I am right up there with, I'm not quite hoarder status, but I'm probably getting close when it comes to saving things. And that is not the identity I want. That is not who I want to be. And I'm not really even sure how I fell into that. I think it's just old baggage that comes with me. And probably from a sense of security, I like to have little things and collect little things and have things around me that I just don't need. So why not have people that can benefit from them be experiencing them? So I believe that there is a connection between clutter and chaos and the things we attract in our life. So I'm going to try, and maybe I'm absolutely wrong. And for some reason, clutter has helped. And I'm sure clutter and saving things has protected me in the past, but I don't need that level of protection anymore. So I'm willing to let it go and let it be a part and bless other people's lives. And when I think of my things as blessing other people's lives, it's not hard to get rid of them. It's not hard to give them away, knowing that they can be an important part of someone else's life. Like they say, one man's trash is another man's treasure. So it's not my trash, but it's extra resources that I don't need to be using on the planet and on the universe. So why not give them to people that can use them, that will benefit from them, and that will appreciate them? Because it's not like, well, if I'm calling it clutter and chaos, then I'm definitely not appreciating it, right? So it needs to leave my life and go to someone that will appreciate it, because then it's contributing positively to the world instead of negatively to the world. Boy, that's a really good way to look at it. I'm going to look at it that way from now on, and we'll see what happens. So how can you apply this to your life and to your business? What does this have to do with how we run our businesses, how we run our lives? Can we use this same question to make better decisions and better choices about everything? Well, absolutely. If I would have asked myself, how does this partner make me feel? I would have not gotten in business with a couple of people in the past. If I would have asked myself, how does this project make us feel? How does this project fit in with all the other things that we're doing in our business right now? How does this particular version and recipe of ravioli, does this seem to fit? Does this make sense? Is this the next iteration for us in this company? And sometimes we ask that question, sometimes we didn't. Sometimes somebody just asked for something, and so we would make it, and it turned out that it wasn't viable. It wasn't a profitable or viable product because the ingredients in it, somebody wanted lobster ravioli, which was freaking delicious, by the way, but it wasn't cost effective to make it. We were making handmade ravioli, which was already expensive to make. But if you throw in ingredients like lobster meat, it becomes cost prohibitive for the market that we were serving. Now, it doesn't become cost prohibitive. There's always a market that will buy anything at any price point that you create, but that wasn't our customer base, so it didn't make sense to create that product. So you can use it to choose products. You can use it to choose partners. You can use it to choose customers. This is a big one. How many of us in the past have ever had a difficult or challenging customer? I think we all have. If you've been in business long enough, and it's very rare to find somebody that honestly has not had a difficult or a challenging client-customer relationship, but because early on, especially when we're starting out, we get desperate for having business and we just take on everybody. And if you take on everybody, you're bound to have taken on somebody that isn't a good fit for you. And there's nothing wrong with them and there's nothing wrong with you. It's just not a good fit. You know, my ex-husband and I were both awesome people, but we weren't a good fit together. We weren't a good couple. And that's okay. He's happier now. I'm happier now. That is just life. And it's the same thing with our customers. We are not here to serve everyone. We are only here to serve and relate to and help a certain percentage of people, a certain number of people, a certain number of the population, certain pieces of the population on the planet. That's who we're here to help and serve. We're not here to help and serve everyone. And if we try to serve everyone, we're serving no one. So we can use this question to say, does working with this person, this type of person, make me feel better, lighter, happier, good? Because I don't know about you, but I've had customers where I've sold them something and they were happy with it, but I didn't like them. I didn't feel good about providing my product or service to them because I didn't know how they were going to use it. Example, fireworks business. We sold to anybody that walked in, anybody that came in the place. And sometimes you knew, or you felt, you didn't know, but you felt like these weren't super responsible people and they weren't going to necessarily use these things safely. Now, fortunately, nothing ever happened bad with anything that we ever sold. But I always, when you have those people, like, when super drunk people would come in and you're like, please sober up before you try to light any of this stuff. And usually I'm sure that they did. But I also was at a fireworks show once with my family, and the people that were lighting them off were drunk and they weren't safe. And we piled the kids in the car and we left immediately because it just felt like an accident waiting to happen. Now, I don't think anyone got hurt in that instance, but I wasn't going to be there and put myself and my family in a situation where somebody could have gotten hurt because people weren't using products or services responsibly. So I think we've all had that. So how does it make me feel to sell or to deal with, especially in the service industry? How does it make me feel to help and provide services to somebody that I don't know if they're going to use what I teach them in a positive way? So I make sure I only attract people that I want to work with. So you can use that same question. How does it make me feel? What do I think? How do I feel about this? Because we all think something, and rationally we're like, oh, I need the money, I'm going to take this client. But then we feel like, okay, they're not a good match. Maybe they're not ready to make the change or transition that we're going to help them with. Maybe they're not ready to put in the work to get what we teach them and actually make it work for them in their business. Whatever your situation is, it's going to be different for each of us. But we got to feel good about who we're helping and who we're serving, or it can lead to some drama and trauma and chaos and clutter that we don't need in our businesses and in our lives. So today, the office, I'm attacking the office, and I will get it done. I will get it done. I'm over half done. I did the hardest part. Well, maybe it wasn't the hardest part. Maybe it was the easiest part because I didn't sort. Well, I'd previously sorted and sifted these things, and so I did put them in storage for my future businesses. But right now, the big thing is, what do I need right now to keep moving forward with the Women's Summit and with my daily work and with clients and my daily content creation? What do I need to keep functioning? And then what am I going to keep because it makes me feel lighter and it's going in storage or moving with me? And what am I just letting go of and letting bless someone else's life? That's it. Go out, make it a fantastic day, and I will let you know tomorrow what I'm up to now. I might have moved to my bedroom and bathroom. Those are the second scariest place I have to do. But that'll be easy too because, again, I'm applying the question, does this make me feel lighter? And an additional question, when's the last time, not even did I use this in the last year, when's the last time I actually wore this or used this? Because about 2 years ago, I went through my clothes with my mom and I got rid of about 50% of my clothes. Let's just say I have lots of clothes. Even though you see me in pajamas and robes a lot, I have lots of clothes. And I got rid of about 50% of them. I got rid of 90% of all my, or probably 98% of all my business suits. I think I kept a handful of business suits in case I have to go to a funeral or in case I dress up or go do a presentation or something. Sometimes I put on business suits, although not so much in the last year. And so I kept 5 of them. But I've gone through and done that. Now, as part of that project, I put about 300 t-shirts folded up in my ex-husband's closet on shelves. I wore 4 of those t-shirts last year. 4. So it's going to be pretty easy to just pull those stacks out and give them all to charity. Because if I only wore 4 in the last year, I might pull out 10 that I'm going to keep, but all the rest of them are going to go. Because there's no reason for me to keep those. If I only pulled 4 last year, let's say I'm going to pull 4 this year and 4 next year. That gets me 2 years down the road for all the t-shirts I will ever need. I'm not a big t-shirt gal, right? Once you get older and you start to get these tummy rolls, you don't wear tight little t-shirts anymore. So, boom, those are going to go. So even though I think it's going to be difficult, I think it's actually going to be pretty easy because a couple years ago I did go through all my clothes. And now it's just, does it make me feel lighter? Am I going to actually wear it? Let's ask that question in the next year or two. And when's the last time I actually looked at it, touched it, saw it, or wore it? And if it's been over a year, and if it's like those t-shirts, I pulled 4, I'll pull 10, I'll keep 10, everything else can go. And so even though it sounds and it looks like a lot of stuff, I don't think it's going to really be that difficult. I think it's going to be a lot easier emotionally for me than it is going through past things. And I'm not going through all the things that I've written. I'm keeping my notebooks because those are a part of me. They're things I've learned. They're things I've studied. I'm keeping those. So I'll have like probably 3 or 4 tubs, and I'm talking big tubs of notebooks and things that I've written and projects I've done. I'm getting ruthless on the books. It's really hard for me. I would say books are one of the hardest things for me to get rid of, which is really sad because most of them I've read, but I love my books. I write in them, I read them, I take notes in them, I teach people different things that I've learned in them that have spoken to me. And so, You know, I maybe have to, does this book make me feel lighter? Have I read this book? Have I read this book 6 times? Can I go online and get this book again in same day Amazon Prime time? Yes, if I can, out it goes. Because it will bless someone else's life. That's it. Have a fantastic day. I will be with you tomorrow. Bye. Champ Grandma Sharon out.